Hi everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the start of an unhaul video. The whole video is going to be an unhaul, but today this filming bit is going to be the start of it. So what I'm going to be doing is I really like doing separate unhaul videos because I think they're super fun to watch and I don't kind of want to get the unhauls kind of missed at the end in my wrap-ups and things like that. I want to have a separate video for them, but I want to be able to get rid of the book the month that I read it. So what I'm going to do is a series of all these clips of, I don't know how many books, I suppose it depends on how frequent this is. I would like to do sort of like seasonal unhaul videos and have it be like an amalgamation of a season's worth of DNFs. Hopefully that won't be too many, but that's what I'm going to do so far. What month is it? May. Is that winter? I'm really... Text up here, tell you what season it is in Australia. I'm wearing a jumper because it's getting cold. But the first book I'm going to be talking about is City of Swords by Mary Hoffman, which is the 6th book in the Stravaganza series. You probably will have heard about this before, and I do have a dedicated video explaining why I unhauled it, or why I DNF'd it actually. I'm leaving the link up above. So yeah, this is not just I read it, it was met, so I'm going to unhaul it. This was actually like, no, I DNF'd it, I have no intention of finishing it at all. I was really disappointed because I read the majority of this series when I was a teen and I absolutely loved it, and I still stand by the fact, even though I haven't reread it, I'm still gonna take a good guess that I will enjoy the series again, the original series. It's just this last book unfortunately fell really flat for me in plot and in characters. There was an insta-love in it which was really frustrating because there was literally no reason for her to be in love with him, but she was after like no interactions or just tiny interactions that didn't mean anything at all. There was literally no time to bond, and that was really frustrating. The main character also self-harms, and the conversation around that and the lack of care, or like, I don't know, I guess care is the right word, the lack of care that her friends and also one of her friends' mums seemed to show about that was really poor, and something that I don't really want to condone, even though, again, I've just finished filming my wrap up with this in it, so it feels like again, but I just want to say that I'm not an authority because I have never self-harmed and I've never been depressed, so I'm not an authority and I'm not any kind of mental health professional, though I am doing a mental health first aid course for work, but that does not give me the ability to diagnose mental health conditions or act as a therapist. That's just someone to help you kind of deal with your crisis in the moment and then help steer you towards professional help. Sort of like what a first aid officer would do before calling the ambulance if they need to, or taking you to the hospital or the doctors or something like that. That kind of thing, but for mental health. Regardless, I don't think that it was treated very well, so that was very disappointing. Maybe someone will disagree, but unfortunately that fell flat for me. And then because I didn't really care about the plot, I just didn't want to finish, and I felt myself, every time I went to pick this up, I'd be like, really? Like, do I have to read this? So I decided to stop. That's it. Okay, I will see you guys in the next clip with some more DNFs, hopefully not that many. Hey guys, I'm back to film the last part of this unhaul since I'm doing the seasonal unhauls. I only have, well actually, I got 5 books to unhaul, but they're all within the same series. Shock, surprise, not really. Confused. I've talked about whether to DNF or not this series a lot back and forth on this channel recently because I will to unhaul this series, but if I'm unhauling it halfway through, then I'm DNFing it, generally is my rule. I will keep a series, even if I didn't super enjoy the previous books, on my shelf until I finish it. Generally, I won't unhaul the whole series until I'm ready to abandon it forever, which is what I'm doing with this as well. This is the Ranger's Apprentice series by Flanagan. There is double digits of this series. I think there's about 12 books, but I'll leave the text up for how many there is. This is a case of they're just mediocre at this point, and I don't want to push through for a middle grade series that I think is mediocre that goes into the double digits. That's probably the best way to sum it up. And there are a couple of undercurrents in this last book that I don't care for. So I do have fond memories of books 1 and 2, which is the Ruins of Gorland and The Burning Bridge. I read these years and years ago in high school because this series was actually recommended to me by a good friend at the time, and I really enjoyed these. I think they're both solid solid first books, and if the series had continued with the same feel, or if I enjoyed the rest as much as I enjoyed these, then I probably would have kept going on with this series because it was always something that I had intended to. But then we come to book 3, which is The Icebound Land. It's one that I actually listened to on audio, and maybe I wouldn't have been so tired if I listened to it on audio, but I still think that it was just a bit, it took the series in a really different direction. And that can sometimes work, particularly being only the 3rd book in the series. It's not established in its, you know, formulaic way yet. And I know that the characters kind of need to grow, and maybe John Flanagan needed the story to go in a new direction, but it just didn't feel interesting to me. It just felt very filler book and very slow, and I feel like the same storyline probably could have been accomplished in a much smaller amount of page time. That then set me up to not really be enjoying this book because I was kind of tired of it as I was already tired of the series, having finished the 3rd one and not really enjoyed it much. But before I knew that I didn't enjoy the 3rd book, I actually ended up putting this one on my Christmas wish list, and my cousin bought it for me, so I did feel a bit of an obligation to at least try it, and I tried it, nearly DNF'd it, ended up finishing it. But I just don't care to continue on, even though I do own the 5th book in the series, The Sorcerer of the North, but I'm just not going to read it. And I'm still feeling a bit of a pang, but a very, very, very faint one compared to how much I've gone back and forth on this series. It's mediocre, and it has bad undercurrents. In the 4th book, there are these bad people that are quite clearly described as being from an Asian country, and they're just bad because they're bad. Like, there's no reason, there's no attempt to understand whether they are truly bad and they're you know, they have world domination in mind, or we're not learning because there's some ancient rivalry between them and the country that they're fighting, which is Scandia, like, or that, you know, or that they're fighting for a good reason because someone from their place has been kidnapped, and they're like, there is no reason for them to be the villains, but they're made to be the villains. But then what was even more frustrating is that we're supposed to be sympathetic of the Scandians, which are Vikings. Vikings that plunder and pillage and assault and murder and steal, and we're supposed to be on their side. We're supposed to be their friends, yet we've got no reason to be hating these people of Asian descent. Bad undertones. And then as a woman as well, there are no women in this book. I can't remember whether the earlier series, whether there is women more, and there is. The protagonist has a girl that's a friend, not a girlfriend, but a girl that's a friend, who I feel like is just the token female character. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Evangeline, but she feels like the only woman in the series. I can't, like, again, I could be wrong. The first 2 books might have women in it, but there was certainly no woman in the 3rd book and none in the 4th. And even though we are spending time in a different country in Scandia, you can't tell me that there wasn't fierce Viking women, that there wasn't crazy, like, fierce going into battle. Maybe they didn't go into battle, that might just be a picture in my head, but you can't tell me that there wasn't women in their society with the Vikings, because how could they have continued on? And why weren't they present in this book? Why is it that there was only grumpy old men? Where were the women? And I just don't care. I don't want to continue on the series with those 2 glaring undercurrent things, so I'm not going to be reading this, and I'm not nostalgic enough about it. I was a little bit nostalgic about books 1 to 2, and it was really difficult because I remembered really enjoying them. But I'm just, no, like, they're not that good, and I'm not reading the negative undercurrents. If, like, my future kids were to pick them up from the bookshop, I wouldn't stop them from reading. They're not that bad, but I don't want them to be something that I'm forcing down their throats as a reason to keep the series either. That is it for my autumn unhaul video. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Let me know how you felt about this video format. Was it fun to sort of see me in 2 different places across a couple of different months or weeks? Thanks so much for watching my videos, guys, and I will talk to you in my next one. Bye!